This is a solo episode, and I'm coming to you with preparing your body for a successful hunting season. Now is the time to start preparing for hunting. It's March. That means we have April, May, June, and then most of us start scouting in July. And we've got those spring bear hunts coming up and also turkey hunts. But it's easier to prepare now than for July to hit when you start going out scouting and you're like taking a hike and you're realizing, holy shit, I'm not ready. And then your hunt might start in August. And by that time, you're just trying to catch up on yourself. And let's be honest, the older that we get, the harder it is to do that quickly and efficiently. And so I want to make sure that I'm giving you guys that little reminder. It's time to start preparing now if you're not already just living a healthy lifestyle. I've learned over the years that I try and just live the healthiest lifestyle that I can. That's what it is around here. Reckoning is all about bringing wellness into the wild. That's what this episode is just ensuring that we're doing that. And not only doing that, but like, even though I'm trying to live a healthy lifestyle all the time, there's always something that you can hone in and do a little bit better. This episode is for hunters, outdoor enthusiasts, those living an animal-based lifestyle. And we're really going to talk about transitioning from winter to spring, how our bodies and energy levels shift in that time frame, and then how we can shift habits to accommodate with that to have those successful hunts. The goal walking away from this is to ultimately just to reset physically and mentally for a strong, successful hunting season ahead. And so that you feel like when July hits and you're scouting, you're just like itching, ready to go. You know, you're ready to pack out whatever it is you are after. I have a few sections that I'm going to break this into so you know what to expect on this episode. There should be kind of something in here for everyone. And like I said, good reminders if you need to go through an audit. So I'm going to be talking about strength. I'm going to be talking about strength and endurance training for hunters specifically, really outdoor enthusiasts if you're going to be out hiking, but really the importance if you're going to be out hunting. And one of those things that you can't, in my opinion, outwork is eating. Why eating? You guys have heard many times about the importance of your eating. I'm going to be talking specifically about eating for strength and recovery. And then I'm going to be talking about something that I find very important, and that is mental and tactical preparation and just things that you can do to be mentally ready because honestly, you got to train your mind too. Then we've got, of course, optimizing recovery and making sure that you are avoiding burnout, what that looks like, and recovery gets more and more important as I learn more about health and wellness. And then the last one I'm going to talk about is managing stress. And again, we're just going to talk about how to prevent that burnout and why that's all part of recovery. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can see I have a bunch of papers I'm referring to, and that's because I took a lot of notes. Part of me is like, maybe I should break this into smaller pieces. Wow, I feel so official, like a news lady. Into smaller pieces, but I'm going to try and just cover each one of these sections in a few minutes and give you some actionable takeaways and tips to get started on this. If you want anything specifically broken down further, then let me know on Instagram or email us, tag us, whatever it is, and I'll be sure to reach out to you and we can either, if there's enough of them, make another episode, or I'll give you guys what I've learned. These are all kind of gathered too, just so you know, from professionals that have come on the show, things that I've learned over the last few years. If you've been here a while, you may be familiar with my story. Quick little brief why it's important to me. I had lost 60 pounds and part of that process and why I decided to lose it was because I was not feeling like me again. I couldn't keep up with my kids in the mountain. And going through that process, I have learned a lot. It was a slow, steady process. And I have seen what that has done for me to be able to connect with nature, myself, and my family. And so that's why I think this is important, especially because nobody wants to be on the hunt when you're there helping a buddy or yourself and you're just genuinely thinking like, I should have done more and this sucks and I'm no longer enjoying it. Let's talk about strength and endurance training for hunting and hiking. A lot of people may look at strength training for hiking and think, no, I should just be out hiking. Strength training is important. Obviously, endurance is important, but strength training is important because it is a key factor for stamina when it comes to hunting in the field. Hunting and outdoor activities require strength through rugged terrain, carrying heavy gear, or processing game. Lifting weights helps you build the physical capacity to perform better and prevent injury. Here's why every hunter and outdoor enthusiast should incorporate strength training into their routine. Obviously, I think probably the most obvious one, is the strength to be able to carry not only your gear, but your game after you harvest it. Things that help with that aspect of hunting is weightlifting builds full body strength, and lifting makes these tasks much easier. I can attest to this, and it helps reduce fatigue. So you're not getting as tired quickly, and you're also just able to keep going, add more, and enjoy yourself while you're out in the woods, not thinking like, holy shit, what did I do? Although you'll probably maybe still have some of those moments. Exercises I like for being able to pack out are deadlifts. This is mimicking a heavy lift load like game meat or gear. I also really, you might hear me say this a few times because this is something that I found myself thinking, damn, I'm glad I did these throughout this last season, and that is farmer carries. It trains your grip, which I think is very important, and then also the endurance for carrying loads, and squats. I think that one's an obvious one. It builds lower body strength for hiking and being able to lift that weight and being able to put on your backpack safely. Some other tips about like why weight training is important is strength training fortifies joints. It helps your ligaments, your muscles, and it reduces the risk of injury like knee, back, and shoulder injuries. Just in case you're like, I should only be running. The stronger muscles help absorb also the impact and prevent strain and wear over the time, which I think you see that a lot of times, like with runners that are just always running, is the strain that it has on that. I think the obvious one when it comes to working out for hunting or hiking is endurance for those long hikes and hunts. So strength training improves the muscular endurance, helping you maintain levels of energy over those really long treks. And also, like I mentioned, a strong core and legs allow you to hike farther, be able to navigate stronger terrain without exhausting yourself. So some important endurance exercises that help incorporate your core and your legs are step ups. This mimics obviously like hiking and strengthens your legs. Then you've got lunges. This really helps with balancing and moving on uneven ground, going over those logs. And then you've got kettlebell swings. These are really fantastic because it helps you build that explosive endurance for a quick movement. Then we also have my favorite, which you guys hear me talk about all the time, and that is weighted walks or weighted incline walks. I think that one's pretty obvious in itself. I liked personally, they have amazing weighted vests out there if that's something you're into. However, I prefer using my backpack and adding weights to that. For me, one, my backpack is still the most comfortable thing for me to wear compared to a vest. And two, it's what I'm going to be using outdoors. So I just feel like I might as well train with what I have. I would say above all else, make sure you're going on those weighted walks or incline walks. This is something simple that you can add into your day. If you're a hunter and you're listening to this, you most likely have a backpack. You have weights of some form, whether that's getting cans out of your pantry, load it into the back of there, and just start doing walks. This will improve your endurance significantly, and I think also make it for a much more enjoyable season outdoors. So weight training is also important. And I think sometimes this gets skipped because I think people sometimes put this with weight training itself. But weight training can help prevent injury and it can help support joint health. So obviously hunting involves a whole bunch of unpredictable movements and it can get sketchy sometimes. I know for me personally, even when we were on Cody's deer hunt this last fall, it had snowed. And so then some of it had melted off, some of it was thick, and I was slipping and sliding everywhere. And just those awkward movements of like feeling like you have a good step and then the terrain getting the best of you and moving you was enough that I was like, damn, I'm glad that I've done what I have, because I still had moments where I'm like, okay, my knee's not feeling good, but I can't imagine how much worse it would feel if I would have not done these things. And then I was able to recover really quickly. Like the next day I was feeling better. So with that, obviously strength training fortifies joints, ligaments, muscles. It reduces the risk of knee, back, shoulder injuries. Stronger muscles help you absorb impact, preventing strain and wear over time. So I'm going to give you some movements that help with the joint health and strength, and that's Romanian deadlifts. This strengthens the hamstrings and your lower back. Then you've got pull-ups. This obviously helps the strength in your back and that motion of pulling back a bow. And then core work. I oftentimes think people don't put enough effort into core work, or a lot of times I hear people, and I know that I was someone like this, complaining of like backaches all the time. And I this is my personal opinion, I'm not a professional, but I genuinely think half of my backache was because I had a stronger back that was making up for my lack of a core. And once I've strengthened my core, I notice way less, like I don't really get back pain as often because I don't think I'm no longer compensated with one or the other. They're working as a team now. Core work is great. Obviously, you can do like planks, hanging leg raises. This improves your balance and your spine support. Other core work that I like doing like the wood chops, I think is really fantastic and a really great movement that mimics movement that you're going to be doing outdoors. And then you guys know I'm going to say it. I really do think that there's something to be said about Pilates, and it's not always about doing crunches. There's plenty of ab workouts or core work that you can do from like hanging from a bar. I like doing the leg raises where you lay on your back and raise and go up. Those are burner and killer. So if you're someone that has a hard time laying on the floor, look up standing core work, and there's plenty out there. Now let's talk about something that I'm sure everybody will like hone in on and listen to this part, because we're going to talk about stability and balance for better shooting and stalking. This is a big one when it comes to hunting. This is where you seal the deal. So stability is crucial for maintaining proper form, and I think this goes with breath work as well. Whether you're doing a rifle, bow, muzzleloader, whatever weapon of choice you're into, you need that stability. For this part, strength training is going to enhance your balance and coordination, which is a huge thing. It's going to make you more precise when you're drawing or aiming a firearm. And again, a strong core helps prevent unnecessary movement, proving your shot accuracy. I love when everything like clicks together. Some key exercises for this would be your single leg deadlifts. These will obviously help improve your balance and your stability. I think these kind of movements are good too to like help you really focus on what muscles to use and how to use other muscles together, if you will. Then you have a shoulder press. This will help strengthen the arm and the shoulders just for better shooting accuracy, making strong arms so that you're able to hold still too. And I think the thing with shooting accuracy when it comes to the weight training is learning, I said that, the mind-body connection, so that way if you're having to hold somewhere or hold back, you're then able to focus on, okay, what muscle do I need to be using at this moment? And obviously a great one, this helps with your endurance as well, is rows. This strengthens your back and your core, and this is a great for drawing your bow and just having that efficiency. When it comes to stability and flexibility, I mentioned this in the last one, but I really do think that adding something like yoga or Pilates into your routine, I know I have like 50% dudes that are listening to this. Guys, NHL and NFL players do Pilates. It's fine, bruh. Like they do it for a reason, because it's helping with that flexibility, which is going to then help you with injury prevention. It's helping with that mind-body connection. It's also great because it's lower impact, but I'm telling you, you're going to be doing, if you find one on YouTube and you're watching, you're like, this little chick, no, she is gonna make you sweat and she's gonna make you cuss, and you're gonna wonder how the hell she is doing this. But Pilates really gives you that lengthening, and I think that lower impact workout, that it really is great for hunting and having that like those quiet movements and learning your body. I think this is when things like yoga come into play, is with that breath work when you're getting ready to shoot, I think is important. I really find that like quiet stillness and holding, knowing when to like just hold and be one with yourself. And then Pilates, I think, is important because it's allowing you to learn your body, how to move your body. And when it comes time to being stealthy and moving, you are going to want to be able to know how to move your body and quietly and gracefully. You want to be graceful, boo, okay? So Pilates. And then something that's obviously important when it comes to this is weight training gives you a fast recovery and resilience to harsh conditions. This is one of my favorite things about weight training, because I do think a lot of times outdoors we're being pushed. I know this. A lot of times we are being pushed outdoors, and we're also pushing our limits, and you never know what it's going to throw at you. So a lot of times, even just as simple as like doing one more rep or showing up for the workout, that's the kind of shit that you take out into the woods. And that is what weight training does too. So strength training conditions your body to recover faster from physical demanding activities. If you are feeling like you're going out and you're hiking, you do really good one day, but then you're like, fuck, I cannot do that one more day. Or like, go back to, we got to do that tomorrow. Yeah, you do. If you want to get whatever you're after, you do. You got to show up, and you got to show up and give it 110% the next time. So if you're feeling like you're just feeling wore out really quickly, and add weight training into your routine. Lifting weights also, fun fact, enhances blood flow and mobility and overall resilience, helping you stay active longer and go farther, like I said. Key exercises that'll help you with this are sled pushes. This will obviously train full body power and endurance. I think they're quite fun. I don't know what I was going to say, I don't know what you're going to be pushing outdoors like that, but I can't tell you how many times I've pushed a truck or a side by side or a wheeler. So sled pushes. And then you've got Turkish get ups. These improve mobility and use your full body and coordination. I highly recommend looking at workouts that are going to require you to use full body, and coordination are very important because, again, when you're outdoors, you have to be coordinated as shit or you're going to get hurt. Okay. And one that is simple is resistance band work. If you listen to the podcast with Archery Strong, he mentions resistance bands and work. You can follow him on Instagram, and he shows a bunch of different workouts with the resistance band, especially for bow hunters. So this will strengthen stabilizing your muscles and improve flexibility. Here's my final thoughts on weight training, even though you've gotten 20 minutes of it. Lifting weights isn't just about getting strong. I know so many people associate lifting weights with like bodybuilders. It's so beyond that. I can't even tell you. It's about becoming more capable, efficient, and an injury resistant hunter. Whether you're hiking, camping, climbing, packing out game, or stabilizing for a long range shot, strength training gives you the endurance, the power, and the stability to perform your best. So hopefully that gives you kind of a little bit of an idea of why weight training and endurance is important and workouts that you should do. I'm happy. I think maybe I'll make another post with some of my key favorite workouts, but those are ones that you can be like, oh, I haven't added that into my routine. Maybe I should add that. Or if you have a question on where to start, I can give you some ideas and programming that we have liked and enjoyed. Next, we're going to hit on eating for strength and recovery. I really enjoy like an animal-based diet is what works for me. If you want to hear about my diet and routine and things like that, there are other episodes that outline why and what I'm doing, but I have found for myself, and I want you to find for you, what your body feels best doing. For hunters, I do think eating a whole food diet is key. Well, anyone, but I'm talking to you guys, okay? So animal-based diet is high in protein, and I'm bringing animal-based up because I know so many of you are saying like, I don't know what to eat, and how do I eat better? How do I get stronger? Listen, unless you ate a whole bunch of tag soup and you don't have anything in your freezer, go out, if you have some, get the meat out of your freezer and start eating more of your harvest. Go heavy on the protein, you need it. So when it comes to optimizing your performance for outdoor endurance, an animal-based diet is proving that it provides key nutrients that outdoor enthusiasts need. It supports muscle, stamina, and recovery. Here's how it does it. I'm just going to give you some facts. So you know, because like sometimes you like need to know the why behind, like, why do I need good protein, right? So animal proteins like wild game, fish, eggs, even beef. We don't like wild game first and then beef, but hey, I like me some beef. Just good, healthy proteins, right? Have complete amino acid profiles. And these are successful for muscle repair and growth. A higher protein intake supports muscle endurance. So it helps hunters obviously handle longer hikes, carrying your gear, all those things you've been training for, maybe giving you some gains if that's what you're after. I know for me personally, it has, I think, totally sparked my metabolism and supported that. We could get into that later. But obviously, I'm not even getting into like, I have like why it's better than plant-based. Ain't nobody on here plant-based. We'll skip that. I don't even know why I pulled that. It also has obviously like the really good fats that you love. It's a natural fat from that animal to help sustain energy and focus. Great things that you get from animal fats are tallow. You can make the bone marrow. Oh my gosh. And then you've got those more fatty cuts of meat, depending on what kind of animal you're getting. As you know, hunting requires a lot of mental focus and clarity for not only decision making, but patience as well. those healthy fats will help support your brain health for that. And I can attest to that. That has helped my brain health immensely and my brain clarity too. I don't feel so like mumble jumbled and hazy, if you will. Also, your wild game that you're harvesting, it's obviously nutrient dense, which helps with that recovery and your immune support. So you're not getting sick and you can't go out hunting. Wild game, organ meats, and even your pasture raised animals, because we're like, of the country people community, they are loaded with iron and B vitamins. It's got the collagen and the glycine, and then you've got those omega-3 LAs. Those are great for like anti-inflammatory properties and obviously muscle recovery. And the collagen is, I think you guys know this, great for joint health. With all that said, that'll help reduce soreness and help with your immune support. The cool thing with protein and your wild game is it helps with blood sugar stability for consistent performance. Unlike like a really heavy carb diet, animal-based approach stabilizes your blood sugar and it prevents crashes during those really long days out on the mountain. It also has those ketogenic benefits when it comes to like an animal-based diet, if that's what you're doing specifically. When adapted to fat burning, your body efficiently taps into that stored energy, avoiding that need for constant refueling. It really is crazy how that works. And then when it comes to your wild game and why you want to focus more on your protein is your gut health and it reduces inflammation. This is something that's been really big for me is reducing my inflammation and for me specifically eating more of a animal-based ish diet, if you will, because I don't like to be put in boxes, but I can't tell you how much less inflamed I feel, which feels amazing. Helps with my performance, my energy, my mood, my joints, my body, and just honestly, when it comes down to like vanity factors, like I just feel aesthetically better as well, which then makes you want to show up and do more, right? So for me, I found that like a lot of plant-based foods, veggies specifically for me, I noticed they were causing a lot of digestive distress. There's a lot of information out there on all this, but basically a lot of these foods contain anti-nutrients like lectins, oxalates, I think I'm saying that correctly, and that can cause digestive distress on some people. So I always tell everybody this, pay attention to your body and what it is that you're eating. And I think you'll be amazed at like just because it's healthy doesn't mean that it's healthy for you or works for your body. And that's what I found. And by figuring all this out, it's also helped with reduced bloating and inflammation, like I said. So when you're feeling better, you're keeping your body in peak condition and helping you want to keep conditioning for that endurance in those movements. Here's some tips on how to optimize an animal-based diet or a higher protein diet for performance. So prioritize your meat first. That's where I'm trying to get my high protein from first is always a high quality meat like wild game, grass-fed beef, you've got salmon and eggs because those also have a little bit of a higher fat content. And we talked about how it's not necessarily a bad thing, right? At least for me. And then incorporate organ meats. So quit wasting your organs. Take the whole damn animal from, I was going to say from taint to tip, but that's not right. From tail to nose. Things like liver, heart, we love taking heart if we can. If there wasn't like a heart shot, even still, we love heart. The liver, I could be better about cooking more of, and bone marrow. Oh my gosh, bone marrow is so good. Bone marrow is one of those things when you eat it, it's like, I don't know if you guys do this or like if you've noticed this or if this is the woo-woo hippie in me, but like when I eat it, my body is like, we need this. This is so good. Those provide a little extra nutrient boost. You can also get these in capsule form too, if that's something that you're interested. I think it's like heart and soil or something I've been interested in looking into because we eat what we can, but obviously there's only so many organs per animal. And so I would like to start adding more organ meat into this. And I know you can also buy like your ground meat with organs ground into it, which I think is super cool. Also, something important when you're eating a high protein diet, and just if you're, I mean, in general, but especially with a high protein diet, is make sure you're staying hydrated and consuming electrolytes. I like taking like Celtic sea salt and just sprinkling in my water, just a little dash. And it's crazy how much more hydrated you feel and almost like how much better the water tastes again when your body is talking to you like mine does. And it's like, ooh, we needed this. But you can use electrolytes Make sure you're getting your sodium, your potassium, and your magnesium. These will help obviously for, I think, the obvious, like the cramps, and then also things like stomach aches as well with a higher protein diet as you're like adjusting to that. Also, obviously, we love our Mountain Ops Hydrate. That is a enhanced electrolyte. And then fueling before and after your hunts. I think David Martinez talked on this on one of his episodes, these last two. I want to say it was the last one. So the episode before this, he talks about how he really starts to like fuel his body preparing for the season. And you can even do this as you're leading up to like the night before opening morning or whatever, or before you go on a hike. So eat a high protein, high fat meal for sustained energy. I like to get up and make like a burger bowl in the morning and then make sure that I'm adding something in like my goat cheese or some of our eggs into that. And that really does sustain me for a long time. And it also, I don't find myself being so hangry. I feel well fed and energized. And then, like I said, listen to your body. Adjust your intake based on your activity, your goals, and what your body is telling you. And obviously, like the demands in which you're asking of your body. So this could change now, like if you're cutting, and then as you get closer to the hunts, like David says he almost does kind of like a bulk before the hunts. And then as he's hunting, obviously a lot of us are then upping what we're doing when we're out in the field because we are burning way more calories than we do on a day-to-day. If you're looking for like how much protein do I need to take, I suggest getting on Googling. I know something that I was always told, it is a helpful guide. Like what your healthy body weight is how many grams of protein you should be eating in a day. So for me, I usually eat anywhere from 120 to 140 grams of protein a day. And at this point, I'm honestly just like not even measuring things out. I think by eating a higher protein diet or an animal based diet, if you're going to lean even farther into that, I really do think you'll experience better endurance, sharper focus, which we all need in life and in the field. You'll have much faster recovery and reduced inflammation. All of these things are going to give you an edge in the field when you are out exploring nature or on your hunt. And every slight edge that you can have gets you that much further and farther in the woods and to whatever goal it is that you have, and also pushing you past those people that are not taking that slight edge. I said this next section was something that was very important to me, and I think we're talking about it more and more, which makes me happy in the hunting industry and just in general. But that is your mental preparation when it comes to going outdoors. I think it is obvious a lot of the times that you need to be working out, eating better. And we do all these things. And then sometimes we get out on our adventure and we realize I mentally maybe should have prepared a little more for this, or thank God I did this, or wow, that pushed me to a new limit I didn't know that I could push through. And I think there are some few things that you guys could do to help prepare you for your seasons ahead. Obviously, hunting and hiking require more than just physical endurance. It demands mental toughness, sharp decision making, and a solid tactical plan. Whether you're preparing for a long backcountry hunt or a challenging hike, these strategies will help you prepare to stay focused, confident, and ready for the unexpected. So let's talk about mental toughness, right? You want to train your mind to stay patient, adaptable, which is important, and obviously determined in the unpredictable moments that are happening and conditions that we have outdoors. Ways to develop mental toughness. I'm sure so many of you have had so many life experiences that have made you so mentally tough, but we can always do things to enhance that much more. And so obviously that's exposing yourself to discomfort. The one thing everybody hates to do, right? Like we just do not like to be uncomfortable. Some people thrive in the uncomfortable. Things that can help you be exposed to the uncomfortable in a healthy manner are cold plunges. If you have the means to do a cold plunge, you can buy like one of those troughs. We just got a trough that we're going to do cold plunges in, or something free 99 for the most part is a cold shower. If you have a working shower, make that bad boy cold. I almost think this takes more mental toughness than the cold plunge, if you ask me, because it's like pelting down on you. Other things you can do if you just like want to challenge yourself are things like fasting or long endurance sessions, or try doing like adding more weight on or doing a workout that makes you uncomfortable. Again, maybe that's something as silly as like Pilates. Um, that's definitely going to expose you to discomfort. And something that I've mentioned before is breath work, but I'm talking more like true breath work over like a yogi breathing. Breath work like Wim Hoffman or box breathing, where you do like the like in, out, in, out. It's crazy how it'll like try it. I'll put some links in the description below for some box breathing. And these just really help you control your breathing because from experience shooting, everybody knows like you can work out hard, shoot, one of those things for like a workout is obviously to like go through, work out really, really hard, and then shoot your bow or shoot a gun and see raising your heart rate. There's still a limit where it's like hard to produce this same kind of adrenaline that comes when it comes time to like actually shooting, when something's in your crosshairs or something's walking in, even just preparing yourself as you're sitting in a stand or across the mountainside as something's coming in. And this breath work can help you learn to like take those breaths and calm your heart rate and your mind and your nerves. And that shit's pretty cool if you ask me. That is like a tool in the toolbox you can have that like you may have all the gear and shit, but like if you can't control your breathing in that moment, what good is it? And something that goes along with this is, for whatever reason, I cannot say this word, so I'm going to read it on my paper and see if I can say it better. Visualization. I did it. So you're going to go through and visualize your scenarios and mentally rehearse like the success of the hunt. I did this with my bear hunt, and I talk about this in my bear hunting episode with Nicole back in 2023, how I was going through, even when I had my bow drawn back, I was visualizing like the bear walking in and like there being a branch in front of it, and then like having to hold my breath, and then like going behind a bush and like all the things, so that I was like just mentally preparing myself for every scenario while also walking through each moment that could possibly happen while training my body at the same time. And visualization, I think, is a really great tool that, again, a lot of people aren't using. With all that being said, obviously, this all comes down to focus and situational awareness. So, a distracted mind is obviously going to lead to making more mistakes with a shot, losing a trail, and or overlooking signs of danger. So you want to improve your focus. I think this is really important too in the world that we're living in because we have so many distractions. I'm looking at distractions. You're listening to a distraction. Hopefully you're finding this more as a tool than a distraction. But same thing, like you're listening to this on your distraction device, basically is what they should call them. I think it's important that we learn now to how to pull back from distractions. I've heard so many scenarios like how much less situationally aware we are, and things that you can do to help improve your focus and be able to kind of be one with nature, if you will, are doing things like meditation. You can do this for 5 to 10 minutes a day. Again, there's great YouTubes out there or apps, and you can always also like meditate on being aware, or again meditate on that visualization process. You can also do observation drills. This is something like if you're going to a new area, let's say, identifying sounds around you, movements, and the terrain, like terrain features, just so that you are aware of kind of what's safe and what's not, and to just being aware of those noises. You heard me talk about in my bear hunting episode, how I didn't realize a lot of the noises that I heard the bears make, I genuinely think they kind of sound similar to like a cow elk, or they sound similar to like a Mustang, a horse, like given the like sound. And there's been so many times when I've been out shed hunting or walking around, and yes, it could have been those things, but I always just brushed it off as like it's a cow elk or it's a horse. And hearing a bear make those noises made me much more situationally aware of those kind of noises and different noises that animals are making. And same thing, like you see people post all the time of like the sound of like a crying baby outdoors when it's actually like a mountain lion mating sound, right? And so things like that. If you're going to a new area, I know a lot of you are seasonal hunters, but even for Cody, hearing the bears was interesting too. So those are just things I think if you're going to new areas. I don't know. Don't you like being a nerd and learning stuff? Come on now. So doing observational drills through noises. You can make it that could be a fun like game. Like what what noise is this? What might kill you? And then, as I talked about, distractions, right? Trying to avoid distractions. Something too that I think will make you not only mentally tough, but also focused is you could do workouts without music or without excess technology. So this again will just kind of make you one with yourself, one with nature. And then also too, training without music can kind of give you more connection to yourself and noises around you. Let's talk about a big one when it comes to preparing tactically. That would be confidence under pressure. And this is a big one, right? Confidence, I think, comes from being prepared and experience. They kind of come hand in hand, and sometimes it's a baptism by fire. One of the best things I think you can do, and if you've not been doing this, is stimulate real world hunting and hiking challenges. I already talked about obviously like training like you would with your backpack and your gear. Same thing would be to make sure you're wearing your bino harness when you're shooting, if that's something you wear. Training under stress, like I mentioned, obviously, is the running your heart rate up, exhausting your arms and your legs, and then shooting and seeing how you do. Catching your breath, taking a breather, you've gone through, you've done your Wim Hof, you're engaging your core, you're engaging your arms, you've learned all your things. Now do that under pressure. And I think why I love doing that is it's the closest thing I think you're going to get to the buck fever situation that you may be feeling. And then two, I think the hiking with your backpack and the gear that you have in there is just a smart way to make sure you feel confident and to know how everything works also and in those moments. Because for instance, like shooting with my bino harness, it like okay, I was worried that, am I going to pull back into my bino harness? I wasn't. I didn't have to worry about that or think about it. Shoot with a hat on. A lot of times I'm practicing at home and I don't have a hat on, but when I'm out hunting, I wear a hat. And so it was making sure that I had my hat on because sometimes my hats sit really low, and depending on where I pull back on my anchor point with my bow, it was like just enough to, and then like, is my string going to hit my hat? All those things are going to equal confidence and being prepared when it comes to being outdoors. And that is going to help you feel mentally tough and prepared, giving you one less thing to worry about and not having a distraction. And with just having confidence and being prepared, this is a great reminder, especially as we're in spring, you're getting ready to, you've probably come off your hunts. Have you even cleaned out your backpack yet? Should we do another clean out my backpack ASMR video as we get ready to go shed hunting? Go through, clean out your backpack, see what it is you need to restock. And maybe go through and think, oh, I really wanted this, or I didn't have this last year. I think one of the last things that will help your mental toughness, give you confidence, is knowing that you've got strong problem solving skills and decision making skills. I'm looking at myself when it comes to the decision making skills. If you would like a good lesson on that, go back and listen to my bison hunting podcast. And as most of you know, making a decision in a few seconds can literally be the make or break of your hunt, even when you feel like you have all the time in the world. So obviously you need the ability to adapt when you're outdoors and make smart decisions, not just shooting that bitch. But you need to be able to make these in tough situations, whether it's unexpected weather. Also go back and listen to that episode. I'll post a video of Cody and I. If it's getting lost, tracking an animal, or getting an animal in your crosshairs and having that split second to be able to make that good ethical shot, you need to be able to have these skills. Ways to improve decision making. This is something that I have been trying to lean in towards, not being such a perfectionist, is run through the what if scenarios. I talked about this. I actually had a conversation with myself in that moment looking at the buffalo, being like, there was a moment where I was like, this could be your only chance. And that's when I decided, like, okay, I'm going to go. And it was too late. So just like get fucking for real with yourself, Okay, love you. Okay. But other things that can help with like weather, learn the area in which you're going out to, because even for us, like living in Utah, from one area of Utah to another can be completely different weather patterns. And when you're up there, kind of study the weather patterns and learn and the terrain so that you know maybe what risks are involved. And then obviously study survival skills. This is something I'm really leaning into this year because I want to make sure we go so often. I not only want to, I feel like my survival skills are pretty good, but I would like to lean more into like first aid and really like a higher level first aid, if you will, like truly being able to make sure that, God forbid I need to, but like I can step in and be able to like feel that much more confident in I can do, what I can help someone. But I really want to like up my first aid, like more so even like backcountry first aid kind of things. Those are things I want to learn, and professionals I'd like to bring on the podcast too. So if anyone knows anyone, please let me know. I would love to talk to someone so that we can go out and feel confident and make sure that we can take care of ourselves and those around us in a medical emergency. But again, you can do this with learning, obviously, shelter skills, fire starting, first aid, your CPR, making sure that your kit is restocked, making sure you have a tourniquet, blood stop powder, whatever that looks like for you, an antihistamine, things like that, I think are going to make you that much more confident outdoors. And again, if you don't have all these other little what ifs in the back of your head, then you're able to focus on the forefront. And then, like I said, run through the what if scenarios. So think of potential challenges or risks that may happen and go through those scenarios in your head. And that's a good time, like I said, just kind of taking stock of what it is that you have mentally or on you physically. And then learn from past experiences. That's kind of what I'm talking about here. Is luckily we're able to come back and learn from these experiences. I know every time we go outdoors, whether it's something as simple as like a hike, I'm learning something, taking something away. And even in those shitty, like gut-wrenching scenarios, you learn something or you want to learn something. So learn from them, journal about it, talk to somebody about it, and learn from those previous hunts or hikes that you're on. And I think the biggest thing is adapting and overcoming. And then, I think too, a lot of that is learning from others and then educating those around you too. So to sum that all up, I truly think mental and tactical preparation can truly make or break your hunting or backcountry adventure. By training your mind to stay calm, your body to endure, and your skills to adapt, you will be better equipped to handle the challenges, stay safe, and find success and memories in the outdoors. So we talked about all these things. Are you tired yet? Do you need to recover? Same. I have found when people have asked me, I actually had, when I went to Mountain Ops headquarters, they asked me, like, what is the one thing that you would tell somebody starting out in their health and wellness journey? And I told them to prioritize recovery and sleep, because I can't believe what that has done for me, and not only my body, but my mind. So I want to talk about kind of avoiding the burnout too, because there's so many things to do when it comes to training. Honestly, just try it. And I would say, like, focus on your eating, try and take an hour to move your body in a way that's going to be beneficial. Find some functional fitness that's going to be beneficial for you. It really doesn't have to be a lot, even though this sounds like a lot. And then find little times to work on your meditation or your breath work or preparing yourself and learning something new. And if you feel like you don't have the time, then look at the screen time on your phone and talk to me about it then. Not only to mention all that, hunting and outdoor activities are obviously physically demanding, often requires, as you guys know, hours and hours of hiking, carrying out gear, enduring the harsh weather conditions. And without proper recovery, you definitely risk burnout. You're no longer having fun or wanting to chase, like go into that hellhole or keep going, or you're just kind of like, whatever. And you are more prone to injury and decreased performance. So as the hunt goes on, you're not able to do what you wanted to do. And I don't know about you, but that's not how I want to go into my hunts or leave my hunts. Same thing goes with our hikes. Like day one, you're all excited and giddy. Day two, you haven't showered, you've got sand in your ass crack, and then you're going to have a shitty attitude and be tired. Like, no. So optimizing recovery ensures you can hunt and hike longer, you can go further, and you can feel your best through not only the season, but outside of it as well. And one of the biggest points is to be able to not only do all the things you set out to do, but I think be able to really truly enjoy it and be able to take away memories from that instead of just focus on like how awful you felt. Some tips that are going to help you with this. Let's talk about the role of sleep in performance and recovery. So I don't know if you know this. Just gonna tell you. Sleep is the foundation of recovery. It allows your body to repair muscles and it restores your energy. Lack of sleep can lead to a lot of things like poor focus, slow reactions, which we definitely do not need when we're out hiking around the mountains. Obviously, that would not be great for your shooting either. It increases your injury because you're weakened, your balance is off. And then you've got, I think the obvious is like your endurance and your stamina is just in the tank. Things to do to optimize your sleep that I have found are helpful are sticking to a consistent schedule. This is different when you are out hiking or on a hunt. But for the most part, during that time frame, like as you're preparing, we're preparing for the season, right? Is trying to stay on a good sleep schedule and just making sure you're prioritizing sleep. Make it go to bed with an intention of prioritizing sleep. And then some things that help you also prioritize sleep, because we've talked about these distraction devices that we have, whether it's the phone or the TV, that is avoiding the blue light. So even if you were to get, I don't have mine in here, I think they're in my bedroom. These have them, but like blue light blocker glasses are fantastic. Also, no screens right before bed. I think they say like an hour before bed is ideal. And then obviously, like, and this is where I'm not good sometimes, but I've noticed a big difference is like, don't fall asleep with the TV on because then you see it through your eyes, and that's not a good sleep cycle either. And then some things that you can do to help unwind you. I've talked about how I'm a big drink girl. So I used to use wine, which is not a great way to put yourself to sleep because it's got all the sugars. So not only am I getting the sugars, I'd wake up at like 3 o'clock in the morning just feeling crazy. I wouldn't feel rested and recovered in the morning. And then also, like, the obvious is like you're putting in all those empty calories, and like alcohol is just a poison. It's just facts into your body and falling asleep on that. So, like, it's not great. Things that I've used instead. I love like a good hot tea. So if you're someone that like needs that, like, how you have a bedtime routine with your kids? Give yourself a bedtime routine. Like, okay, I'm going to read a book. I'm going to sip on a tea, or, we love our slumber cider, or they have the slumber gummies, and these have cherry juice in them and like a really small dose of melatonin, which I like. Or you can use something like a magnesium supplement, or like I said, those sleepy time teas, and that'll help your mind calm down. And with that is also when you're going to start taking out all that technology too. And then something I'm going to say with this is, I know this is all nighttime, but I do think it is important for rest and recovery in our brains. Is I heard a really interesting study about getting on your phone first thing. And this is more like meaning like probably social media. Like if you're going to get on doom scroll and do stuff, if you can avoid your phone for a little while in the morning, that is best, just because as you're sleeping, your reserve, your what do you call that? At night, your dopamine reserve fills back up essentially. Like think of it as like a gas tank or a full battery, right? Like it's as if you're charging to full battery. 100%. Your dopamine's charged to 100%, but when you hit it first thing in the morning, it drains more quickly, and your reserve is only full of so much dopamine for a day before like it recharges again at night. So don't drain your dopamine with something as stupid as scrolling social media. Okay, that's all. These are things I'm working on. And then when it comes to recovery, it's not just sleep either. So there's things like active recovery. These active recovery is staying mobile and staying strong. So it's not just about rest. It's about moving in the right way, being intentional. And this helps prevent stiffness and injury. So, if you've ever just like got a really good workout in, the next day you're just like a couch potato, then that's when like the stiffness and soreness, and then it just creates a cycle. It's hard to get back on it, right? Something after like a long hunt or a long hike, active recovery keeps your muscles loose and it prevents that stiffness and soreness. The best ways to do active recovery methods are stretching and mobility work. So you could get out something like a foam roller. You could just do like a good stretch. Like think back to when you used to do high school sports and they'd run you through stretches. Definitely work on focusing on stretching if you've been doing hikes or hunts, stretching your hips, your knees, and your shoulders. And then, I'm going to say it, I don't know why people forget about this, but like walk or do a nice light hike. This just helps promote circulation throughout the muscles without creating a lot of stress, and it's not exhausting. And then also, like I already mentioned, this foam rolling or massage is just great for muscle relaxation. And then when it comes to recovering faster with nutrients, nutrition is so cool. I think it's always so interesting to see how it plays a role in everything that we do. But if you're able to fuel your body properly after exertion, it helps speed up the muscle repair process and it replenishes your energy stores. So the best recovery foods, I'm going to say it with me, high protein. So again, things like your wild game, your eggs, your organ meats, obviously you could do your beef or whatever you're into. Those are really great for muscle repairs with that amino acids. Then you've got obviously your healthy fats that we talked about. Again, like your bone broth, your tallow, your butter. This will help reduce inflammation and help with those joints. And then you've got your electrolytes that we talked about. So make sure you've got that sodium, your potassium, your magnesium for hydration and muscle function. You can also get these in a pill form if that's easier for you if you're out in the backcountry, or like I said, those Mountain Ups hydrate sticks are really great for that. Little hack, something I like to do is I love to keep a pickle in my backpack, or like if I've been working, I love pickles, but even just sipping that pickle juice is a really great way to get that sodium and potassium in you. And that's one of those things that makes your body happy. I do like the truffle shuffle dance when I have something good in my body. Things to avoid are like overly processed carbs and sugars. Obviously, this just causes inflammation. For me, something that I like to avoid too, and just in general, are seed oils, because again, that I've noticed creates a lot of inflammation in my body. And then overeating junk food. One of the best things, in my opinion, when you get done with a gnarly hike is to get a cheeseburger, like a hometown cheeseburger with pickles. But the key is not to overeat. So, like when you stop at the gas station, not having like googly eyes for all this stuff, just because I think it's obvious. It slows down recovery and it increases sluggishness, which you don't want. You're already gonna be tired enough. You don't need to help that. But that hamburger hits all the other above points. See above, please. And then this is one that I wanted to talk on just because when it comes to all this life and all the things that we have to do to prepare for hunting leading up to it can be stressful. And so I just think it's important that we talk about managing stress more. Again, this is something I'm working on. I'm sharing these with you because these are kind of my like audits of myself and tips that have helped elevate my performance along the way. I'm not perfect, and like I think go through once a month, once a week, go through and audit yourself and see what it is you need to do and focus on, or things to add into that. And I think it's important to prevent burnout, because overtraining and just like constantly going can clearly lead to mental burnout and physical burnout, honestly, and fatigue. So, in case you're not aware of what signs of burnout may be, this could be loss of motivation or the enjoyment for hunting and going out, or persistent soreness and lack of energy, or just increased frustration and poor decision making, or just being a fucking grump and a half, just like over it. You're burnout. It's okay. Add in some active recovery into all this. Ways to prevent the burnout. Some tips. Take rest days, like I just said. Add in some active recovery, schedule some downtime in between intense workouts and trips, and also be mindful of your intense workouts and your trips. Kind of like plan accordingly. Mix up your training days. This was something that was big for me, was switching it up between weightlifting, hiking, recovery days. So as you've heard me talk about, I got really burnt out on CrossFit, and my body too physically was burnt out, and I was seeing a lot of signs of burnout. And then I mixed up training, and I go through and I kind of switch up my training too, because one, I'll get bored with it, and two, I just notice different things are working better for my body now and based off the goals that I have. So I definitely think maybe take a look if you're feeling burnt out and unmotivated. Take a look at your training and switch that up, whether that's adding in weight training or adding in more endurance like running or weighted pack walks, whatever that may be. I think that's a big one for everybody to look at, especially as we've come out of like January and now we're into March, and you're like, a lot of people started. And now it's like, are you bored? Are you burnt out with what you're doing? Are you going to be able to keep doing this so that you're going to be able to go into your backpacking trips come June, July, and then your hunting come the fall time? Are you going to be ready to go? Or did you just like go hard come January because you're all motivated and shit after the hunts, and now you're March and you're just like, wah, wah. And then you've just given it up and you're starting the cycle again. Don't do that. And the biggest thing, like I've just ranted on, is enjoying the process. So all of this is the reward of being able to go out and go hiking and hunting. So it should be an enjoyable process and not exhausting in the meantime. Yes, you should be pushing yourself. You should be seeing how mentally tough you are. You should push yourself to see how strong you physically can get, but be smart, audit yourself, keep an eye on it. If you're finding that you're sore, you're wore out, you're got a mood about stuff, then it's time to adjust. So obviously optimizing your recovery isn't just about feeling better. It's about performing at your peak every time you step outdoors. By recognizing this, it's ensuring that you can take care of your body so then you can go outdoors, you can go hiking, you can go on your adventures without being burnt out, losing your motivation, and going into a season injury-free and ready to succeed. I know this was a lot of information. Like I said, I really could get really micro with all of these topics, and I could break it down even further, but I wanted to at least give you kind of some reasons why, because I know it's always helpful to know why you need to do things or like why it's important. I'm that person. I'm a why person. You know, when your kids hit the why phase, but like, why? I'm that person. And so I think it's helpful to know because then it gives you a reason to, and also like, obviously, why you should be taking care of yourself. And then hopefully you were able to get some workout tips, some eating tips, and then some breath work and mental toughness tips, as well as recovery tips. Again, if you want me to break this down even more micro, like I said, I have a whole bunch more of this and we could go through each section. If you're going to use any of these tips or if this was helpful, I would really appreciate it if you shared it on social media. My goal, like I mentioned, for 2025 is to really grow the podcast. And to be quite frank, I need your guys' help doing that. I'm only one person, so it genuinely helps me to be able to keep showing up and doing these for you guys. If you guys are enjoying these and you're tagging me on social media, sharing it with friends, someone that you may think could benefit from an episode like this, please send it over to them. It means so much to me. I can't wait for you guys to start maybe implementing these, or maybe this was a little bit of tough love for you to take a look at what you're doing or need to start doing. I genuinely want you guys to go into your adventures feeling stronger and happier and healthier than ever. And it really does start now because, like I said, it's March right now, and that's just like 3 short months. How does time fly that March, April, May, June, July? Okay. So, but still, you can start like mid-July. That's like 3.5 months. Think like, can we have for real talk for a second? That time is going to pass anyways. Do you want to look back when you're sitting on the mountain and be like, wow, I'm so glad I have got into a routine and I'm doing this? Or do you want to sit back on the mountain and be like, fuck, that's a hellhole, but that's a nice bowl. God, I got to start working out right now. Like, where do you want to be? I do think it's easiest if you can just find a good flow, find what works for you, and keep it going. But now's the time to push. Now's the time to get stronger. Now's the time to get mentally tougher so that you can go in to your season ready to step it up and harvest and fill that freezer.